How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today I'm on a new map. I'm going on to Deluge. I kind of had the choice between Deluge and Sandswept. My theory was Sojourn was sandy, Deluge is muddy, Sandswept is sandy, so I'm sort of breaking it up a bit. After a continuous season of bad weather, the water level in the local river has risen. Unfortunately, the aging upstream dam, already weakened by recent seismic activity, collapsed, causing the reservoir to drain. You've been tasked with restoring its spillway before it gets any worse. For vehicles, I'm taking the Land Rover. The reason why, I assumed Deluge was going to have various deep water here, there and everywhere, and the Land Rover has, at the minute for me, the tallest vehicle with the tallest snorkel on it. Not the stock version you get, you need to buy one. Operation Deluge, Eastern Europe, autumn. A season of harsh weather caused a local river to overflow, damaging the old dam and multiple vital facilities. Your company is known to be reliable. Goddamn loaf professional highways. So they've called us in to fix it.
We have our work cut out for us, that's for sure. Since you'll need your base of operations up and running, I recommend checking out the machine yard. From there, you can drive up to Sandwing.
Kelly's back. She's basically explaining the first couple of missions. So you've got scout an area for a base, and then she's saying there's a Lynx vehicle that they've prepared for us. However, she's not quite sure where it is, even though she pretty much tells you where it is. First thing I do, by the way, because just to show you, give you a perspective, like, I know it's mostly clouds, but I'm basically in the bottom right corner. There is that last little bit, so I'll reverse over there in a sec, and just try and get the edge done. Yeah, so kind of over to the bottom left, top right. Again, I know it's clouds, but just to give you a rough idea of the size of the map and where you're starting and all the rest of it. I just quickly reverse over to the bottom corner, fire out there. I don't know if that makes any difference, but there's nothing beyond those clouds, but I've pretty much officially got the bottom corner unlocked. So you've got either scout the area and establish a base, or locate the Lynx. That's the base one. The Lynx is the one above me there. I would go for the Lynx first for a couple of different reasons. One, it's a pretty cool vehicle. It fits in well with this map in particular. And the other mission I've got to go and do is scout an area. Once you scout that area, that's not even the base. Then it brings up another yellow box you've got to search, and then that's not the base. That's like a construction depot. And then there's a third area. But the drive there is, I think, will be more tricky. By the way, I don't like, it's random there. I was driving down, it almost like started crabbing on me and skidding sideways a bit, and I kind of flew into a couple of tree stumps. Thankfully didn't get caught on any, just kind of bounced off them. But yeah, I don't know, it's a bit of a weird, it's the first time it's ever really done that to me in this game. It sort of just, I don't know, dropped the hammer, went all weird, lost most of its grip, bit like in the SnowRunner where you go fast enough on roads and it just kind of ends up being practically no grip. So you get to this point, I wasn't sure if this map was going to be like a full-on recreation of Deluge, back from a Mudrunner. The other, I think it was called Flooded on spin tyres, Deluge on Mudrunner. Basically identical maps. So I wasn't sure if this was going to be that. It doesn't appear so. It's obviously like a little bit of a hat tip to it, the name. The fact that you've got bits like this where I'm driving through, if you go the wrong way you will flood your vehicle. But it's certainly easier to tell how to cross, versus Deluge was like, that was half the battle really, was getting across the river, kind of driving blind through pretty damn deep water that was 9/10 of the way to drowning you. When I go in the bird's eye view, you can see there's kind of mud going across there, and then along here there is a bridge that's sort of buried. It's pretty easy to climb across. You can't see all of the bridge sections, they're sort of, some of them are buried under mud and all the rest of it, but to be fair, whoever programmed and designed this little bit, it's pretty smooth. You don't feel like you keep getting caught on the bridges, or I don't know, it's not too janky. They did a pretty clean job of it. I like how the water does, I don't know, ripple out. They've got a very nice effect going with that. So you can sort of see the marker saying 240 odd metres away. Little baggers of Lynx. Like I say, for whatever reason, Kelly sort of jokes that they've roughly lost track of it, but you drive to this exact location and then you get a cutscene and it appears, so it'll do the job. Speaking of,
This is going to sound a little crazy, because this local fisherman is asking for a, let's say, sizable amount of wooden logs. He wants to build his own dam downriver to protect his fishing nets. But hey, if the man wants to pretend to be a beaver, who am I?
Kelly's trying to drop more hints. talking about beavers, sizable amounts of wood,
Having him owe us a favor.
fishnets, and favours. You know what, I'm just trying to have a good, clean, wholesome drive around Deluge, and Kelly is filthing it up. Yeah, that was a mission it unlocks. It's to fix a dam, and the guy wants 20 logs. I believe that's an achievement if you help him. I've not done it so far. Yeah, TUZ 119 Lynx, extended air intake, larger than life tyres, and a drivetrain that will get you through the worst days. I like that they kind of made its own little cutscene entrance through a specific bit of water that kind of demonstrated how good it is at travelling through water. So, here's a look at it. The things I like about it, instantly. The front tyres stick out further than the front bumper, meaning they're going to be the first things to hit anything, instead of like some janky hitbox on the bumper. The rears also, the mud flaps look about level, but I don't even know if they count as a hitbox. So yeah, you're going to hit everything with your wheels before the actual chassis. This, I mean, it gives you an example of like if you hit something it starts climbing. Ignore that it keeps slipping off to the side. I think that must just be something weird with that little caravan thing hitbox, because it wasn't really doing that, but that was just a demonstration. The other thing that's nice, it's got four-wheel steering, so you can see the rears are also turning. And it's got a nice high snorkel, as near as makes no difference up to the roof. I just drove next to the Land Rover to kind of measure it, and it does sit higher than the Land Rover. Yeah, I guess the vehicle overall is just sitting higher. So at this point, I'm basically going to double back on myself and start heading pretty much back to my main garage. But I left a lot of footage in at the beginning of driving this and all sorts, just to give you an idea of like first impressions of the map, a little view of what's going on, a demo of how like this vehicle handles. Yeah, again, I just think it suits this map very well. So I should have carried on, but I swerved off to the right because I just wanted to see if I could cross here. Drives over those rocks very easily because, again, the tyres are the first thing that will hit them and they just climb up. It looks like it's going to go too deep though, that's what she said. I can't even see the bottom of the river, like when I look sort of bird's eye view. So reverse back out there, abandon that mission. But again, instead of doing like normally, I'd probably do a full 3-point turn and go backwards, whereas yeah, climbing up that rock, it just seems very well. It doesn't really, like, a lot of vehicles seem to stub on rocks and then they don't get very much grip. This might be the case if you're on pure rocks, but certainly going up there, it just doesn't really hassle you. It feels like a very pure scouting vehicle that, yeah, really can just sort of roam around, climb over just about anything, and yeah, go and check out what the hell's going on. And this is the bridge that I crossed over on the other way. Yeah, going back over it, you can sort of see a bit cleaner now in the water. And then I thought, you could obviously go off to the right, keep it shallower. Yeah, if you brought like a Hummer or the Malamute thing, Don 72, you probably would have to stick to the shallower routes because their snorkels aren't as tall. And I tried this, it's got all the same things like the terrain scanner and the object scanner. Does anyone really use the terrain scanner? Because if you see there, it scans the terrain, fair enough, but it doesn't scan the water, which... And the other thing is, even on the bits of terrain, it brings up red parts where it's like, I don't know, might be, strictly speaking, deepish, but it's not anything I think that the vehicles are going to struggle with. So there's where I got the links from. There's where the guy wants the dam built. You got to get 20 logs, and there's where I'm now going to head for the next mission. So one handy thing at this point, if you put the tree resource thing on, I can kind of figure out, even though it's in the clouds, that there must be a road going along up here because there's a gap in all the trees. So that just kind of helps you at this point. Pop a few flags down just to roughly know where I'm aiming for, and then yeah, keep heading towards that. I'll start driving up here a bit, but I'm going to cut ahead now because from the drive from like here back to the base is just a normal drive. There's not anything like, it's not really demonstrating how good this vehicle is. To the left, I'll just look, that is my base that we start at, so I'm basically back to square one. And then yeah, this is now heading towards it. It says search the area and set up a new base. I've not for some reason got it tracked. I'm sure it's tracking itself at some point. Yeah, saw a mound, climb up it, what can I say, old habits die hard. Yeah, I just wanted to see. One thing I do like though, you can sort of instantly, I got the impression, it doesn't really catch on its underneath, like on the chassis. It just drags along it quite nicely, which is good. Feels pretty natural and well balanced, I think, in this game. Now when you're searching these areas, the third place you get to is going to be a base, and you've got to clear some items out, and at that point it would technically be handy to have a mule or something, but this is an example why I think it's worth getting this first and then driving here, because that bit alone, you'd stub the front bumper of the Hummer, the mule, probably the Malamute. Again here you'd stub your bumper. It'd be like you'd be firing winches out hoping you can grab onto tree stumps and whatnot. This thing is just built for this kind of terrain. I mean, I'm guessing that's why they've kind of added that here. And yeah, the assumption is you're going to go and get the Lynx first, and then you can drive across the map. And like I say, it's just very well suited. It's not like loads of the map is this kind of terrain with the big cuts running through it, but nonetheless, it suited it pretty well. We had a tiny bit of sun going on there. It's certainly back to pissing down with rain kind of map. Only a matter of seconds and it's already going. The cut here, I think I just saved the footage, and seconds later it's really pissing it down. I think there's one little bit here where I don't really get stuck. It slows me down for a second. I think I just kind of picked the worst of both worlds. I should have just gone up the terrain and then crossed over, but I sort of tried to do both in one. Sat here for a few seconds doing a bit of a wheelie, so I think it's more the side of the front right tyre is not quite catching. One thing with this vehicle, it doesn't actually steer each individual wheel, it steers the entire axle, which I don't think is a bad thing, because in certain situations it extends the front wheel even further out in front of the vehicle. I mean, here's an example of like where it shines though. If you brought a mule, Land Rover, whatever, you ain't getting up here. I was prepared there to start firing out winches, but then it actually carried on, climbed up to the top, and yeah, good to go. Yeah, I can't think of anything else except the load, because he's goddamn professional. He will definitely find a way up there. And he certainly has the torque to climb up there, but yeah, I think everything else is just going to stub its bumper and be an awkward sod. There's quite a good example of, like, that's how deep it goes. That's what she said. It's quite handy as well, even where the snorkel is, because it's at the front corner of the cab. You could see there, like, I was starting to go deeper in the water, but then the front wheels hit whatever the other side of the terrain and starts lifting me back out, so I never quite hit the limit there.
The machine yard is still standing. With our usual luck, there'd be a crater instead. Yes?
It's true. I only just cut ahead like 10-15 seconds there, just followed the little road down. Again, just trying to keep the video as short as possible, whilst trying to leave like the most sort of important bits in. Yeah, so the first place we've got to is called a machine yard, but long story short, it isn't a base. So I go around the back of here, and there's a bridge, well, half a bridge you can see. I assume at some point later we can build a bridge over that spot, but for now you could actually cut down along like the actual very edge of the river. I just sort of started climbing up here because to give it a bit of a test, and yeah, to be fair, I mean, it did wheel spin and skid and think about it for a second or two, but that was pure rock I was climbing up at that point, so I think that's a reasonable effort considering how slippery, really, lack of grip the rocks seem to have in this game. SnowRunner was the same as well. Again, I'm going to edit ahead because I'm just whipping through all these trees up ahead of me. I'll show you on a bird's eye view. This is now the next yellow section. This is not a base either, it's the construction depot. Yeah, there's a little bridge. There's the machine yard. I went round there, cut across there, and through these trees. I actually don't think I went left round that rock. I think I went right. But nonetheless, just, yeah, there's no significance to the footage, really. It's just driving. It wasn't even deep mud or anything like that. Yeah, so further down this road is the actual base. I'm going to go left here. I think I chop ahead to the end of this road. And yeah, this is going to be the base. Knock these gates open, and obviously when you get here you can see the amount of things it wants you to clear out of this yellow square. In theory, like, a mule would be handy now just to throw all those little bits basically in your sideboard, but then at that point you're going to have to drive to the edge, then flick them all out your sideboard. So yeah, I did it in the live stream as well, just get on with it, start winching things, pulling them to the edge. It doesn't take that long. Couple of minutes really or something. It's a good example though. While I was just winching that closer, this thing drives up and it does sit on its back. And then when I hit reverse, the wheels are so far at the back of the vehicle that it's still gripped. I think if I left it stood up there for a few seconds, it would have stalled the engine, because it'd probably count as being over 90 degrees. But this game does give you like a second or two before it bites you with that. So it gives you a second or two to get out of it, which is pretty nice. Yeah, and then this dragging the last thing out, this van. And as soon as I get that out, objective complete. I've also gone up to level 16. There's a tracked crane I can buy, but I didn't bother tonight.
The dam has suffered some breaches, so we need to go check it out.
And then she just listed off a load of other missions, but I've not really got into them tonight anyway, so I'll spare you the dialogue. Yeah, at this point though, once you get that mission done, you basically got the bottom left, like the whole strip along the bottom uncovered really, within reason. Yeah, so I went into the shop, look at the Lynx, 24,990, which is not too bad, certainly worth it I would say. Stats wise, it seems to, you can see like stability, mobility, capability and weight. The top three, stability, mobility and capability, all go up one notch. Weight obviously stays the same. So yeah, stats wise it apparently just is a slightly better version. I put them next to each other. It looked when they were facing the other way that the newer one had a slightly taller snorkel, but I don't think it was. It's probably just the way I was sat. So at this point I switched back to the Land Rover, which is where we found the Lynx, and it wants me to go and reach the dam. And I also do drive off at some point, off into the top corner. I edit most of that out, but I'll show you the bits of, I don't know, interesting things I sort of found that you might want to know about. So yeah, just start driving up this way. There is a road to follow. And you can see by comparison, I'd still like the Land Rover, I think it's decent, but I'd say you can tell this map's sort of mud-wise coded, where there's a fair few sections the Land Rover goes a little bit on the slow side that the Lynx probably won't, because the Lynx just got massive tyres. It rolls over things instead of like the Land Rover with small tyres has to kind of cut through the mud rather than just roll over it. There's an example, like I hit my bumper when I went in that dip. Thankfully I sort of flipped but hit a rock. However, the Land Rover does still get over those ridges. You can see in the background that's where it wants me to go. So I'm going to cut ahead because I just follow the road all the way around. There's a few slow patches of mud, obviously now I could drop the hammer a bit. And I go off up there later on my own just to cover a bit more of the map. But I found one of the achievement unlocks. So this is the dam that I assume has been smashed up pretty well, that it's going to want us to start fixing. Looking pretty unhealthy.
It looks like there's a problem with the dam's water gate. We can't lift it because there's debris in the way. And even if there was no debris, there's still no power. But we can...
Yeah, so I go off up here. I also go across the top of the map until I get stuck, sort of weave along the edges here to uncover as much of the clouds as I can. I quite like, if I can, getting it neat. Obviously, there's little patches of cloud here and there. Again, I unlocked some more missions, but it's just sort of saying fixing a road and drawing an AI route. I've done it, but I'm going to put it in tomorrow's video, because otherwise this video would have just been too long. Yeah, so I've started driving sort of into the top right corner, along the top, but then I got to that point where it's sort of like a bridge, but you need to really patch a bridge or pour enough sand to fill the gap. Yeah, and this mission popped up. It's something like Jamais Vu. It says like find a future reference on Deluge. I'm not too sure what it's alluding to, but nonetheless, this pickup truck thing with a trailer, as I was driving around, appeared. This, you know, that's where I drove, and it popped up. Just to show you where it is, you can sort of see the dam. I'm right along the right edge of the map. Yeah, there's like a little puddle of water going on there. Pretty easy. I mean, I'm almost level with the dam, so it'd be quite easy to just cut across as far as you can to the right hand side, and then after sort of doing a lap and all the rest of it, come back here. See how not bright the orange bit of that is? I'll tell you why I mentioned that in a minute. And then next to me, it wants me to get a generator from that machine yard and take it up to the dam that I'm at. So I'm going to use my new Lynx to go and do that. Yeah, it was like I only cut a little bit ahead, but the sun came out again. And you can see by comparison, it's the same colour, I believe. I don't think I did change it at this point, as is on the Land Rover yet, because it's sunny. Like how much more vibrant it is. It's definitely nicer colours when it is sunny. So I'm back to this machine yard. There's that half missing bridge that I sort of looped around a few minutes ago. yeah, wants me to get this. Again, you probably could do this mission with the mule, but to be honest, how bloody slow the mule is. Yeah, you're going to get it, lift it in your sideboard, strap it down, and then probably spend the next 10 minutes going 2 miles an hour, so it's probably just quicker to do it this way. That tree took a good hit, didn't quite die though. It's like, damn, good for him, it's one of the boys. Yeah, it doesn't weigh a lot, this thing. I've got it winched quite up close to me, so it's not quite scraping flat on the ground really when I'm driving along. It's always like slightly raised above the ground, so it drags quite freely. I drew a few flags of sort of the rough route I'm heading. I'm heading for that dam that was just at the top of the screen. Obviously you can kind of make your own way or whatever, but this seemed like the most direct route. And again, I'll cut most of this out. I did leave it in originally, and then I thought like the video was a bit on the long side. Right, I'm going to edit here in a set. I end up restarting, and I'll show you why. So I've just cut ahead only 30 seconds odd. I go to cut through here, and I just thought, oh, I'll drive to that piece of land I can see just in front. Yeah, goes pretty damn deep. To the point, I was like, well, surely I'll pop up at some point if there's land there, but it looks, I'm so deep, I'm under that tree, I think. So yeah, I quit and restarted. Got some weird sun circles on the loading screen. So now I'm back to where I said I cut. It was just the second run was cleaner footage driving across here and all the rest of it. Yeah, so I just figured again it sort of helped keep the video short without too much editing and me chopping backwards and forwards to go in aerial view and all that. The main thing I did last time was as I bumped over here, my front wheels hit that tree to my left, so then I had to reverse. Then I started getting stuck on the generator because it's right behind me, and I just, like 10-20 seconds of probably 4 or 5 attempts at reversing and turning. Every time I kept bumping that fallen over tree though, it sort of bumped my steering back over to hitting the tree that was standing up. Yeah, so again this was cleaner. So this is where I edited to last time. I just veered off to the right, and that's where it went pretty deep in the water. Whereas going across here, again, I used that terrain scanner. I mean, look, it doesn't scan the water, which is the one time where it would be quite handy, a bit like it did in Mudrunner and all the rest of it back in the day. You used to have, like, spikes kind of sticking up out the water and that, and they'd be different colours, pretty much telling you, like, how deep the water is. This terrain scanner does only tell you the terrain, which, for the most part, I don't know, is that ever going to be that useful? I think they should just make it so it does the water as well. So yeah, cutting across there, you can now see I'm connecting back up to a road. That's a road mission it wants me to build. So again, I cut ahead because I just follow the road. It's very simple at that point. Get to here, tried to swing it on in there. Kind of reversed over it. I mean, that's the one thing. This vehicle is good enough, like, you will reverse over stuff more than you just ram into it and push it. I only got beached on it for about 10 seconds. When I detached my winch, it pinged up. Goes green, but I think I accidentally fired another winch to it that I wasn't supposed to. Give it another nudge. I'm going to sit on it. It pops into a place, and yeah, another mission done. And at this point, I just saw my Land Rover, otherwise sod it. Climbing up it, again, it's a good example. Like, it very immediately, like, the front tyres hit. And yeah, it climbs stuff, which is good. I like it. Was the thumbnail ended up going for. And like I say, yeah, I went and did, I built the road sections. You can actually see one of the roads I built there, and a bridge, but I would like to just do a separate video on it, because it's actually quite a cool, in-depth mission in a way. I've got a tree stump mulcher out, and a tree cutter, and all sorts. There's my goddamn horse. There's the old road crew. Loaf Highways road crew. Yeah, so overall I quite like it. It says 13% there. I'm probably at about 7% of like tonight's footage. And then yeah, that's me progress so far. By the way, it says bases unlocked, 30 out of 51. I don't reckon I've got another 21 bases to unlock. Or 35 odd vehicles, unless they mean maybe it's including the DLC I've bought as well. I wonder if, like, if people who haven't bought the DLC, are any of your stats along the bottom there lower? Yeah, that is it for today though. It's a good first look. Feels like a pretty cool map, to be honest, so I'm sort of looking forward to doing some more. That's about it for today though. Thanks for watching, get yourself a loaf, and I'll be back soon.